I'm Rosh from Energy Matters. Welcome to our podcast, Road to Zero, where we dive headfirst into all things renewable. Join us as we chat with industry experts, tech specialists, and some of your favorite TV and radio personalities, asking the renewable energy questions that you want answers to. Our goal, a zero carbon future. In today's episode, I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Sherry Feng, who's literally on the hop and on the way to Tokyo. How are you, Sherry?
Hey, Rosh. Nice to see you. Considering the time difference, it's going to be a good morning to me, and then it's probably going to be a good afternoon soon to you as now.
No, look, it's all good. We are still morning, so and it's pretty rock and roll, Sherry. Chatting to you. Whereabouts are you right now? Where are you?
Okay, so I'm actually sitting in the airport in Beijing right now, and about heading to Tokyo. Let's say within like 30 minutes or like 40 minutes, I'm going to get on board. So so we're just heading for Tokyo for hydrogen projects like we're going to do with the Tokyo University. It's still a bit confidential right now, but I think the news is probably going to hit all over the place like once we deliver the system there. So it's going to be a very cool project for us.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but you're doing a podcast, so there's a good chance you've just told everybody in Australia.
Oh my goodness! I'm going to say it's with, like, let's say with a university. Okay, I'm going to...
No, good stuff. All right, Sherry. Well, look, it's awesome to have you on. So obviously we're here to talk hydrogen, which is actually quite fitting given that you're actually on your way to Tokyo to deliver a hydrogen project. Look, this is my first experience of hydrogen, right? So I was absolutely blown away with what we filmed in China. For all those of you wondering what the hell we're talking about, on this week's episode at 4 p.m. on Saturday, 9 Life of Energy Matters, our new TV show. We'll be showing a behind-the-scenes tour of LAVO, which Sherry's going to give us a bit of background on in a second, and how to actually make hydrogen storage. So it was absolutely incredible. It was like being at school again and going back to chemistry class to see the whole process from start to finish. And, I can safely say now I kind of do understand how to make hydrogen. And I knew nothing about hydrogen, right? So anyone who can tune in on Saturday, you're going to get educated and be inspired. It's absolutely amazing. Sherry, just real quick, for those who don't know you, can you please tell us who you are, what your role is inside of LAVO, and a bit of a, sort of breakdown what LAVO does?
Okay, alright. So, my name is Sherry Feng. So I'm the Senior Business Manager of LAVO, and it's mainly looking at the business development and also the project's operations for the LAVO Hydrogen. So for LAVO, a lot of people probably know us from the hydrogen back in 2020. We launched our kind of first ever residential use of the hydrogen products. It was pretty big hit back then. And then, we went a bit kind of quiet. A lot of customers reaching out to us during the, past few years to ask where you are, where's LAVO, how will you develop so far? So I think it's a really great time for us to really show our customers, for the people who believe in us all the time, that we have been working really hard to deliver what we believe we can deliver for the hydrogen, for the clean energy industry, and also what we could achieve together in the future. So this is really great opportunity. Thanks so much for visiting us, Rosh, for our base in China right now, because we have our factories set up in China to produce our key kind of technology products, basically the metal hydride. And also we're working on this on the other side is to develop a system which kind of really bring our residential house into the next level, which is more kind of commercial use for right now, which we believe have a bigger market in the future. So this is where what LAVO is, who I am, and what we're doing.
It's absolutely incredible and super fascinating as well. I mean, what I've been finding with a lot of the conversations I'm having and filming this TV show and obviously these podcasts is really, there's two sides to it. The first side of it is we at Energy Matters, shamelessly spruik, rooftop solar. Okay, we want every single home and business in Australia to have energy independence and have their own, solar power system on their roof. But then obviously when I'm talking to other colleagues at a utility level, they're like, look, what you're doing is fantastic. And we're so glad you're obviously, we want to see everyone achieve net zero. But the problem is the grid isn't really very stable. And having all this rooftop solar, looks like it's beneficial, but at the same token, pressure it's putting on the grid is immense. So unless we have some significant grid stability, which will come really from a storage perspective or a more stable baseline of energy, which is why coal kind of is still, sort of really in play.
Yeah.
We're going to probably get ourselves into a bit of a situation. So, it's been actually a revelation to understand that component. How can hydrogen actually solve this problem?
Okay, so probably we're going to start from the very beginning about like why hydrogen. So the one thing's also inspired what LAVO's to look into the hydrogen is like there's a very famous quote I think LAVO's been using all the time. So when the sun stops shining, when the wind stops blowing, what we're going to do with the renewable energy. So everyone understands that renewable get the main issue or the challenge of the renewable is the fluctuation. And this kind of like, the strong demand for the flexibility to store the renewable energy while it's producing. That's mainly the problem. For the rooftop like solar, definitely going to help the families to solve the problem to harness whatever the solar energies can harness like during the daytime. But what we're going to do during the nighttime, I think for right now, the industry answer is we're going to provide the lithium battery to the customer. So there's a really straightaway answer. But let's say if you do have the 7 or 8 days of cloudy days, or even like a rainy days, which the solar is not good enough for you to produce enough energy for you to use during the nighttime, how are you going to solve the problem? So now the industry came with two key terms. One is a short-term storage, one is a long-duration energy storage. So for the hydrogen, it is really the solution for the long-duration energy storage. So in the industry, general understanding is the lithium battery is good enough to solve the problems around like 2 to 4 hours. Maybe now we can stretch to 6. And I think, CATL is looking to, do the more R&D to even stretch further to 8 hours. But the problem is the size of the lithium battery is going to go massive, like when the hours is starting to stack up. So now when we look at the hydrogen, the key things is the energy densities in the hydrogen is much, much higher compared with the other energy storage solutions we're providing to the market, commercialized already right now. So this is really the unique point for us to considering how we can utilize the hydrogen to become a energy storage solution to provide long duration energy solutions for the customers on a really like a stable and a safety way. And considering all these factors together, this is where LAVO started to zoom in for the metal hydride. So for the energy storage, for the hydrogen storage, there is mainly like 3 key differences. The one is the pressure tank. A lot of people look at the pressure tank, which is very common in the industry right now. The different pressures give us a different size of the tank and utilize, by, right now the fuel cell car mainly is the main user for those pressure tank. And also the second one is the liquid hydrogen. You have to lower the temperature of the hydrogen into minus 263, and that's going to give you the liquid hydrogen. But the problem is, during the times, a lot of energy actually wasted for those supporting system to lower the temperature down. So that could be a state-owned kind of project level or the company levels, to utilize that all of this, resources to do this big, massive projects. So right now we're looking at the 3 probably the most kind of feasible ways we can think about right now, considering the cost, economic factor, and the size for a company like a startup like LAVO we could utilize is the metal hydride. So the metal hydride basically is the metal alloy. So when the metal alloy encountered with the hydrogen gas, it turned into the metal hydride. So when we talk about a metal hydride, like right now everyone is talking about it, we're actually talking about how metal alloy, the mixtures of iron, the mixtures of the magnesium, the mixture of the manganese, titanium, how these metals melted or combining together can turn into something to store like hydrogen in a really safety way. And this is what LAVO's offering right now. What is the metal hydride stored energy, the hydrogen at the 30 bar at a room temperature for a no degradation. And you can even use it for 20,000 cycles, and which is going to give you probably 10 or 20 years lifespan. So this is where the unique technologies LAVO brings to the market.
And it's absolutely incredible. I mean, you've actually touched on about 3 or 4 things I want to ask you about. But before you do, you talked about metal hydride. It's like your KFC secret recipe, and we were lucky enough to film it in China. Let's just quickly play a quick clip of what you're going to see this week on Energy Matters.
And after, when the times comes, you will need the hydrogen to generate electricity. You get hydrogen, squeeze hydrogen out of the metal hydride, which is from the vessel, and the hydrogen gas will start to fill in the fuel cell you're seeing right now. And the fuel cell will start to working and to combine the hydrogen and oxygen, turn back into water, and generate electricity to power whatever appliances you want them to.
And that was absolutely incredible. So we've just obviously seen, you know, look, it's only a very short clip, obviously, what's going to be happening this week on Energy Matters, the TV show, where we actually saw the metal hydride. You know, you didn't give us the exact quantities of each component, but you certainly were very open to share with us, you know, how you do what you do and how you make it. I guess a couple of quick questions I have for you, and I know we're on a time limit, is really, firstly, you know, we've spoken about the different cycles of hydrogen storage compared to lithium. Potentially, there's quite a big advantage there. I mean, how long will it take to charge? You know, I think when they're watching this, will they still have solar panels in their roof, and those solar panels will, you know, go through an inverter, convert it from DC to AC? Will they be then able to charge the hydrogen storage themselves? Or does that require prep from the grid?
So there is a few key components in the whole LAVO has a system on the system level. So the metal hydride serves as a storage part. So you can see that as more like a lithium battery or the battery part. But also we do have a component called electrolyzer, which is the components going to produce hydrogen by utilize the electricity generated from the solar. So basically
Gotcha.
You need the solar, you need an inverter. The inverter going to get the electricity into the electrolyzer. Electrolyzer going to starting to break down water into hydrogen and oxygen, and hydrogen stored in the metal hydride. And then the oxygen just vented in the air. And then further down of that, when you need the electricity, what you're going to do is the vessel going to start to release the hydrogen. The hydrogen run through a component called fuel cell. And the fuel cell is going to convert it back to the electricity and heat. So this is where the people can use the clean energy from the rooftop solar, and then you know stored in the clean and like green hydrogen, what we call the green hydrogen, because it's from pure clean energy resources, and then you're going to generate the electricity back through the fuel cell. This is the whole cycle.
Gotcha. And so people typically now understand, you know, kilowatt hours as a metric for determining like how much storage they have, for example, for the battery. So how much would a standard residential fuel cell have in terms of kilowatt hours?
So the fuel cells is really depends. I think the majority of families, we have 5 kilowatts fuel cell, that's good enough. So some of the families which have a really hunger of the electricity, they can go up to 10 kilowatts. But I wouldn't expect like for the families to even go further down. Like even for the commercial use case we're exploring right now, 5 kilowatts or 10 kilowatts, that probably will be considered like a more standard fuel cell size. And but it's of course it's different from the car. So the trucks for the car is going to be go way beyond. So yeah.
Amazing. And I know I'm going to put you on a spot by asking this question, but it's just itching at me to ask. How much is it comparatively to like a lithium battery? I mean, let's say 10 kilowatt hours of hydrogen storage compared to 10 kilowatt hours of lithium battery storage.
Oh, that's a classic one.
more expensive or less expensive?
Okay, so let's see how we calculate it. So if we really do a simple calculation, let's say, okay, for the hydrogen system, you're going to have like 3 components adding up together, electrolyzer, fuel cell, vessels, everything comes together. Directly compare with the lithium battery you're purchasing from the markets right now. I have to admit that the price is going to be way beyond. So it is really way beyond. But let's say if you look at on the longer cycle, if you actually look at it in the 10 years or even 20 years, I think that is going to come to an even better figure. And then you can consider like further down that how we're going to do the recycle part. I know right now the lithium like suppliers, like they're all saying, I'm going to claw back the battery like at the end of the lifespan. I'm going to bring it back to our factory, going to recycle. But we have to admit that the whole maturity of the recycling technology for the lithium battery itself is not really ready yet. But look at the hydrogen industry right now. It is very interesting when it comes to the supply chain, the whole attitude of the supply chain for the hydrogen. So the first one is the metal hydride we provided to the market, 100% recyclable. It's just a bunch of the metal alloy. You just throw it in the furnace, just get a new batch of the metal alloy out of it. So it's 100% recyclable. And the second is for the electrolyzer and the fuel cell. There's a lot of special rare like materials involved and also expensive the metals involved in the manufacturing the process for the electrolyzer and the fuel cell. And the suppliers actually more than happy to claw it back and reuse it. So the recycled business has already been in the place like for the whole hydrogen industry. So when you actually calculate it, the latest quotation I received right now for the lithium battery, if you actually want someone to go and collect it back, it's probably going to cost you $1,000 to even do that. And do you actually wonder where the lithium battery is going to go like in the future? I think this is really a good question mark for now.
You are really, there'll be a lot of people who manufacture lithium battery storage right now going,
I know, like we're doing lithium battery as well. You know, that's the reason why we're thinking how we can help people to transit from lithium battery, because we know that we have to realize, like use it right now, utilize it right now, but how we can help people to transit from lithium into a much, much cleaner energy in the future. That's going to be our goal. Like we're not really against lithium. We just wanted to partner to see how we can bring the ultimate green solution in the future. This is what we believe. We're doing lithium as well. So we're more than happy to put some advertisement here that LAVO is doing lithium.
No, fair call. And I think fundamentally you hit the nail on the head. I mean, really, the game we're all playing is a long game. I mean, it's the short-term solutions. Rooftop solar's been obviously utilized for over, for 20 years plus now, which is fantastic. But really, the technology continually evolves and advances. And I really think fundamentally what you've just touched on is bang on. I mean, it's great that we have a solution to take us away from burning coal, which is great. Using the power from the sun to generate electricity, powering our homes. We don't need to hit the grid up and encourage them to burn more coal. So that basically reduces our need, which is amazing. And then the next component you've touched on is, yes, storage is essential. I mean, the only way we're going to really be able to power our home 24/7 is by storing that excess electricity and then using that to power our homes. And but then really you also bang on in respect to like recycling, because fundamentally everything that we should be manufacturing from a renewable energy technology component should be as close to 100% recyclable as possible. And it's really those advances in that area that's going to kind of really give us full circle, so we don't have to worry about sort of going to the tip and creating more of a problem with waste. Just more so being able to do the whole circular economy, and when it gets to end of life, great, recycle the entire thing and it goes back through the loop and back into service again, which is absolutely perfect. Sherry, we are running very low on time, and I know I'm going to be herring in the background. Sherry Feng, please please board the plane.
So you're probably going to hear that pretty soon.
Exactly, it's going to be happening any second now, I know. So my last question, I guess, is what's really next for LAVO? I mean, you're in Tokyo right now. You're about to deploy an incredible example of exactly what we've just been speaking about in respect to hydrogen, which hopefully we get to film for season 2 of Energy Matters. Just saying. But really, what is your plan, and what are the goals for LAVO right now? What do you want the Australian public and all of those working in the industry, and those who are going to watch the TV show this Saturday, what do you want them to know about LAVO?
Yes, we're definitely going to be loved to participate in the season 2, like Rosh. So because we have so much to show to our really our believers or our supporters, because LAVO has been on quite a long journey for the hydrogen, from 2020. And I think for now, we have the products ready. Unfortunately, it's not really for the residential, because the regulation is still going to be the big challenge for us right now to convince the regulators or the compliance society to say we're going to put a hydrogen device at home. So that's going to be still a bit like a way to go. But for the commercial and the industrial levels of the use case, this is what LAVO is exploring right now. So you're probably going to see more LAVO system deployed for the telco tower as a backup, the power system. And also we're probably going to do more looking into the global market, let's say in Africa or in Japan, like in Malaysia. So these are the area that people still heavily rely on the diesel generator. I think LAVO's goal is to help to use the hydrogen system to help those customers to decarbonize and to get rid of the diesel genset. And that's going to be the first step for LAVO's to go for the next year. That's our main goal.
Well, I think that's absolutely incredible. And I certainly, if anyone's here watching from Hydro Tasmania and or on Flinders Island, I think you should definitely have a chat to Sherry, because we were filmed on, this is another podcast and another episode of on this TV show later on in the season. We filmed at Flinders Island, which is incredible. It's still it's 60% renewable now via wind and solar panels, all facilitated through Hydro Tasmania, who've done an amazing job. But they still have a 40% requirement at times with diesel just to maintain that stability. And I did actually mention hydrogen to them, and they were like, yeah, that's certainly something that's worth exploring. So, but for those guys, definitely, have a chat to Sherry. Happy to connect you. But I guess outside of that, we've just gone through the cyclone in the Gold Coast, and it was terrible. And thousands, tens of thousands of homes lost power. We lost power for 9 days. And,
wow.
and then, but then as a result of losing power, the cellular towers went down as well. So we had no access to mobile phones, obviously no electricity. We're relying on the car radio to have communication. And although they had diesel backup or generators for a short period of time to keep them going, it wasn't enough. So I think what you've just spoken to, or just mentioned just now in terms of infrastructure, I think it's going to be an amazing opportunity for deployment, and just to keep, really essential infrastructure up and running. If there is, or when there are more, more weather events, because we're going to have a lot more weather events. It's a sign of time. It's really happened. We can't be, bury our head in the sand anymore. It is what it is. And so we need to start utilizing the renewable energy technology that we have available to us to start to create fixes. So it's music to my ears to hear what you've got coming up, Sherry. I'm a massive supporter of LAVO. You kind of like just being in China, meeting your team, having a look at the way you guys operate, and more so just your attitude in general towards wanting to make a difference is very consistent, obviously, with the ethos of energy, the TV show Energy Matters. And look, I can't wait to see this week's episode. And I believe everyone who's watching this right now will be jumping on and tuning in as well.
Thanks so much, Rosh. Just one quick thing. The case we're looking at in Japan right now, what we call disaster management, this is what exactly we want to target in the future. So because for the fuel cells, not only the electricity going to come out of it, but also the heat. The heat is going to bring the hot water, which is actually more needed during this extreme event. So this is something definitely LAVOs would like to contribute. And we're looking for more collaborations with all the partners globally, of course, Australia domestically as well, to see what we can bring for our customers.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much, Sherry. Have a safe flight, and thank you for jumping on at the airport.
Thanks so much, Rosh. Thank you. So see ya. Bye for now.
Cheers for now. See ya. So, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I mean, Sherry's amazing. She's very much onto it. LAVO as a brand are just, very much at the forefront in terms of evolving and just really looking at what's next. So thinking outside the box always. The factory tour in China was amazing. You can see it, as I said, on this Saturday at 4 p.m. on 9 Live. It's going to be absolutely incredible and a real eye-opener. And as I said, it's just like going back to school to actually understand and see how something is made from scratch and actually transforms to actually become energy storage. Other than that, have a fantastic rest of your day. Tune in on Saturday, and I look forward to seeing you next time. All the best.